A suspect in custody who police believe is connected to a series of burglaries in Champaign. Here where he was captured.
Plus, parents' rights, what one bill is doing that could take away some parental rights that will largely impact fathers.
And a mixed reaction around the world after a deal was made with Iran. You're watching WICD News Channel 15.
A man is in custody who police believe is tied to multiple burglaries. Thanks for joining us. I'm Angelica Sanchez.
And I'm Doug Quick. Police made the arrest in the last few hours. Authorities say there have been 11 daytime burglaries throughout the city since March 11th. And today they may have caught the man responsible for many of those. WICD News Channel 15's Nate Rogers joins us live at the scene before. Nate.
Doug and Angelica, the suspect was arrested around 3 o'clock this afternoon. He was caught near Mattis and Ivy. Now, it's kind of interesting how this all came down. Champaign police were set up to speak to us about the same suspect on the loose around 3 o'clock today. But just an hour before then, police say the suspect was at it again. According to Champaign police, the latest burglary occurred today around 2:15 in the 2200 block of South Mattis. Police were told the suspect matched the same description seen in several recent burglary incidents throughout town. Police say in previous incidents, the suspect is seen knocking on the front door of a home before he goes in to the back door and breaks in.
When someone comes to the front door, I'm sure this guy's got some kind of a statement or a story that, I'm sorry, wrong address, or I'm selling magazines, or does John live here? I'm sure there's some kind of story that he's coming up with if they answer the door.
Today's incident tell us the suspect was seen running throughout the neighborhood. He was soon caught by sheriff deputies. Police tell us they're still reviewing reports to tally items stolen. So far, jewelry is on the list. We're told there were no injuries during any of the recent burglary incidents. Now, authorities are still interviewing witnesses and trying to really get to the bottom of all of this. The suspect has not been charged and his name has not been released at this time. We're live in Champaign. Nate Rogers. Doug, back to you.
Thanks, Nate. We'll have more on this story coming up tonight at 10 on Nightside.
The father of a 12-year-old Quincy boy who was shot and killed is speaking out. Rashawn D. Humphrey Jr. was killed around 1 a.m. on Saturday after he was shot in the head outside a Quincy home. Rashawn Humphrey Sr. says his son was mistakenly targeted as a bar fight participant because he was wearing a hooded sweatshirt. Police Chief Rob Copley says investigators are looking at the possible connection. Humphrey Jr. was a 7th grader at Quincy Junior High School. Attorney General Lisa Madigan says Illinois should deny a pension to former lawmaker Keith Farnham, who was sentenced for child pornography charges. Madigan ruled yesterday Farnham forfeited his right to his $1,237 monthly benefit after he used state computers to compile and trade almost 3,000 child pornographic images. A federal judge ordered him to report to prison next month to begin serving an 8-year sentence. A legislative panel will consider Farnham's pension April 15th.
Decatur man has been sentenced to 60 years in prison for killing a woman in an armed robbery in 2008. 26-year-old Brandon Owens was convicted in the killing of 20-year-old Leedry Cunningham. Owens rejected the chance to speak to the victim's family during yesterday's hearing, and he also interrupted and cursed at a prosecutor during those proceedings. Authorities say the woman suffered 70 wounds during the attack. When the judge issued the sentence, Owens kicked off his sandals and security quickly took him out of the courtroom. The Rural Development Farm Labor Housing Program is looking for farm labor loans and grants. The program helps qualified nonprofit applicants develop housing for migrant and seasonal housing that are affordable for low-income farm workers. Pre-applications to build off-farm units or to purchase or rehabilitate off-farm labor housing properties are being accepted through June 23rd. Qualified applicants include not-profit organizations and most state or local government entities. For more information, call the number on your screen.
Earlier today, a donation drive was held in Urbana to benefit Salt and Light Ministry from 7 a.m. until noon. Community members donated clothes, shoes, and other items. The event was held at the Vineyard Church. The Latania Sports Group teamed up with the ministry to hold the event. Around 50 volunteers worked shifts starting at 5:30 a.m. to help set up and unload donations from cars. The vision was to fill an entire soccer goal with the clothing items, and they did just that.
Kind of forgotten how big the goal was until walked out here and saw that this morning. And we need a lot of stuff to make what we do happen on a daily basis. And so events like this, or even small drives that an individual family might do, go a long way in helping us to do what we do.
Salt and Light helps those less fortunate by providing the tools they need to make a change in their lives. It is a nonprofit completely dependent on community support. All of the donations from today will benefit the people Salt and Light serve throughout the area.
Well, the big weather story today, certainly the rain and scattered rain showers and drizzle that we saw a little earlier. But since then, things are really starting to clear out quite nicely. Those showers have pretty much come to an end, moving out of the WICD viewing area. And we're also looking at cooler conditions, though. Look at the temperature difference just in the last 24 hours. 16 degrees less now in Champaign than it was this time yesterday. 51 degrees, that's the current temperature. And as we look out across east central Illinois, again, all that precipitation has moved well out of the region. Tomorrow, back into some sunshine. It'll be breezy once again. And in fact, breezy conditions will take us through the rest of the holiday weekend. We'll let you know what to expect for Easter Sunday with the Storm Team forecast coming up. And now we're sending it back to Angelica.
Thank you, Doug. A bill in the Senate has one parenting group up in arms about what it could do to their rights as parents. Senator John Mulrow tells us it's been in the works for years. It calls for less litigation during the divorce process. But as one parent tells us today, it could restrict his access to his daughter and her records. WICD News Channel 15's Eric Feldman has more.
Stephen Westerfield is the president of the organization Illinois Fathers, which supports parents without custody of their kids. He has a 13-year-old daughter, but he says he's nervous a bill going through the Senate could impact his relationship with her, as he does not have custody.
My situation is I have a 13-year-old daughter who does not want to continue with visits. She doesn't want to go to the visits. She would rather be out running around with her friends. She's 13. You know, she just hit that age. There's nothing in there showing that I'm a threat. Why should I be denied access to her school, medical, and dental record?
Senator John Mulrow's bill could present a problem for Westerfield. Mulrow says this bill, which has been on the table for years, would significantly reduce litigation for divorce.
Urges the parties to develop their own plan and come to an agreement on what's appropriate, what the time-wise, who's got the ability to take the kids this week or that week or weekends or whatever.
And it's been a difficult process to get this bill to this point, but Westerfield could still access his daughter's records.
And that finding that they're not letting you spend any time with your child, if that's the case, then I'm not going to give you access to their records either, unless I find that it's in the best interest of the child to give you access to those records.
But Westerfield isn't as optimistic.
You can get those records, but how are you going to show it? I mean, if you're denied parenting time, you're denied all that, how are you going to prove that it's in the child's best interest to still have access to those records?
Westerfield says he's had productive conversations with Mulrow about the bill. Mulrow says it's very tough to make changes to the bill now after years of work and years of negotiations on the content.
Champaign Fire Department and Champaign Exchange Club will honor the 2014 Firefighter of the Year. Engineer Josh Jessup will be recognized on April 6th in Champaign. Ceremonies being held at O'Charlie's on Town Center Boulevard from 12 to 1 p.m. Jessup says that he's flattered to be given the honor. He, along with others, have worked to implement a behavioral health program and peer support team. Well, coming up after the break, the world is watching. Find out why some are skeptical of a new nuclear deal struck with Iran.
Plus, a high school basketball star made this special someone very happy after asking her to the prom. Find out who later tonight. You're watching WICD News Channel 15. There's mixed reaction today from around the world regarding a tentative deal that could alter the future of Iran's nuclear program. Iran's president vows to keep his country's promises, but many, including the United States' closest allies, are skeptical. Mary Maloney reports.
Cheering crowds greeted Iran's foreign minister as he returned from Switzerland, where he, along with other world leaders, agreed to a proposed deal on Iran's nuclear program. Iran's president Hassan Rouhani addressed his nation Friday.
We have managed to protect our nuclear rights, and at the same time, we have taken steps for the lifting of sanctions.
He went on to say Iran will stick to its promises if other parties involved in the deal do the same. The agreement outlines major points that will get fleshed out in a final deal by the end of June. Among the key points, over the next 15 years, Iran will have to reduce its number of centrifuges, reduce its current stockpile of low-enriched uranium, and stop enriching uranium at one of its biggest nuclear reactors. UN inspectors will have complete access, and if they find Iran in compliance, crippling economic sanctions against Iran will be lifted in phases. The White House is now on the offense, selling the deal to Congress, but it has some work to do overseas, too. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the framework poses a grave threat to the world.
Such a deal does not block Iran's path to the bomb. Such a deal paves Iran's path to the bomb.
Joining in the chorus of criticism, the Republicans likely to run for president next year. At least 5 have spoken out so far, united in their opposition to the plan. I'm Mary Maloney, reported.
And the Sullivan Park Hill Tower cam looking out to the northwest, if we can get to it. And that runner, there you go. Sullivan Park Hill Tower cam. And there we go. We're actually seeing some sunshine here this evening. We're going to see sunny and warmer conditions taking us through the weekend. I'll let you know what to expect on Easter Sunday. You're watching WICD News Channel 15. All right, comments on the day.
Finally, some
Yes.
sunshine.
Yes,
right?
finally. We did see some scattered showers and even some drizzle from time to time. We had the first bout early this morning, and then the second cold front pushed through the area that also brought about a few scattered showers as well. Let's look out across North Champaign at the present time and seeing the effects of some sunshine out there. And generally speaking, we're looking now at clear conditions here over much of east central Illinois. After the passing of that second front, well, we will continue to see things clear here during the overnight as the showers come to an end, but it will be a lot cooler. We're going to see overnight lows dip down into the 20s. Let's take a look at what happened here earlier today. We saw these bouts of showers and not really a whole lot of thunderstorm activity, but certainly wet. And then we saw that second batch here start to move through east central Illinois through the afternoon. And now finally starting to see things clear, although still some areas out there may be looking at least a thin layer of cloudiness and certainly not seeing any precipitation across mid-Illinois or into west central Indiana. But look at the winds out there. As we showed you earlier, that tower cam doing a lot of rocking and rolling out there, 22-mile-an-hour winds moving in from the northwest currently. 28-mile-an-hour winds in Mattoon. Hold on to your Easter eggs there. 13 degrees less now in Danville than it was this time yesterday. 12 degrees lower in Paris, 14 in Mattoon. The winter, ding, 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 16 degrees less now in Champaign than it was this time yesterday. That is quite a cool down. Looking at 50s now across the area, 51 in Danville, also in Champaign, 52 in Mattoon. Still, though, looking at 54 degrees up in Watseka there in Iroquois County. 55 degrees in Hoopeston, 54 right now in Paxton, 56 over in Veedersburg, 55 degrees in Chrisman, and 53 degrees over in the Monticello area. Now, as we look into the weekend, we will see those clearing conditions here during the overnight. Tomorrow into some sunshine, although it'll be a little cooler. We'll only top out in the 50s tomorrow, but by Easter Sunday, things are looking a little bit better. Back into some sunshine. We'll see high temperatures in the mid-60s, and I even hate to even mention next week. We'll show that on the 7-day forecast. But in the meantime, here's that cool air moving down into the area, high pressure moving in for the day tomorrow. tomorrow. Mild conditions, but by Sunday, look at these isobars here, how close they are. We're going to be looking at some pretty breezy conditions, but that southwesterly breeze is going to help boost our temperatures up into the 60s, but it will be a windy day on Easter. 29 degrees for the overnight tonight with clearing skies. 58, sunshine, breezy and cool tomorrow. Then looking into the next 7 days, this is why I don't want to really even talk about next week. Look at this. We got a day-to-day chance of showers and storms each day. Now, if there's any good news in this is the fact that we're looking at temperatures well above average next week with daytime highs up into the 60s, even seeing a 73-degree temperature there on Wednesday and down into the mid 60s, and that's going to seem cold, I think.
So enjoy Easter.
We're going to kind of get used to those warm temperatures, but yeah, certainly enjoy Easter, and again, keep a hold on the kids because it's going to be a bit windy out there.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Doug. And coming up after the break, this high school basketball player is asking someone special to the prom. Find out who.
Plus, the Michigan State Spartans and Wisconsin Badgers are getting set to compete in the Final Four in Indianapolis this weekend. Full preview coming up later in sports. You're watching WICD News Channel 15. Well, this is for all you sky watchers out there in Western North America. You're in for a treat this weekend. A nearly 5-minute total lunar eclipse will hit just before sunrise tomorrow morning.
A lunar eclipse happens when the sun, earth, and moon form a straight line in space with the earth smack in the middle. As the moon moves deeper into that shadow, it appears to turn dark and may even appear to be a reddish color. Starting at 3:16 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time Saturday, the moon will begin moving into Earth's shadow. The total eclipse will only last 4 minutes and 43 seconds, and NASA says that makes it the shortest one of the century.
And a crane fell on the Dallas Museum of Art, damaging a section of the building. The hydraulic crane was reportedly lifting part of a tent. When it fell over, the operator of the vehicle climbed out and said he was okay, but was transported to the hospital in an ambulance. The museum was not open at the time of the accident. No word on what caused that accident.
A high school basketball star's sweet prom proposal is melting people's hearts.
Trey Moses tweeted pics of himself holding up a big sign and giving flowers to Ellie Meredith. Ellie has Down syndrome. Trey has a girlfriend, but decided to ask Ellie to the prom after the two became close through a program at school that cultivates friendships between students with and without the developmentally disabled. Ellie's mom says her daughter is thrilled and they're excited about shopping for a dress. All right.
And she got the job as an NFL ref. That's right, we said she. For the first time in its history, the NFL will have a woman overseeing games. The Baltimore Sun is reporting that Sarah Thomas will start officiating in 2015. Thomas started working for Conference USA in 2007 and became the first woman to officiate a bowl game in 2009. She then joined the NFL's officiating development program, worked some New Orleans Saints training camps, and also officiated NFL preseason game last August.
And congratulations to
pretty
her.
Cool. Historic
awesome
stuff
job.
right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Speaking of football, Illinois football, we all know they need to be better this year. Some steps forward last year, but you definitely get better if you play better in the trenches. That's the offensive and defensive lines. And they're improving so far in practice. We'll have an update next in sports. You're watching WICD News Channel 15. It's commonly known in football circles that many games are won in the trenches. Now, great quarterback play and solid contributions at skill positions helps, but the lines, both offensively and defensively, can make all the difference if they can be effective. Illinois, of course, still a work in progress on both the offensive and defensive lines as far as impacting a game is concerned, but they have some key pieces returning with another year of experience, and both the players and coaches acknowledge
Nightside, a community is at ease tonight after authorities arrest a serial robber in Champaign. Coming up, new details about the suspect.
Plus, distracted driving. Find out what Illinois police are looking out for this month.
Plus, Iran nuclear plan update. Find out why some are skeptical of the New Deal. What some leaders are afraid of. WICD News Channel 15's Nightside starts now. Relief for some Champaign residents tonight now that police have caught the man burglarizing their homes. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Angelica Sanchez.
And I'm Doug Quick. Authorities arrested the suspect shortly after 3 this afternoon in the 2200 block of South Mattis.
That's right. Police say the suspect is now facing at least one charge of residential burglary. WICD News Channel 15's Kim Shine joins us now with more about the suspect. Kim.
Champaign County authorities tell us their suspect is a known panhandler who is currently homeless, and police say he could be the clue to many other local break-ins. However, tonight, local residents tell us they're glad that he is done terrorizing their neighborhood.
Everybody in the neighborhood watches out for each other.
And because of this, Champaign County authorities arrested a man witnesses say robbed a home Friday in the 2200 block of South Mattis. Police got to the scene around 2:15 p.m. That's when Franklin Wilder, who lives nearby, says everyone was on alert.
When we found out, everybody in the neighborhood kind of got in their automobiles and went around and started looking for him to try and help the police officers out.
Champaign police assisted in the search. They say the suspect may even be tied to more burglaries in the area.
What this guy's doing is he's knocking on doors, and when no one responds to the doors, he's going out around to the back of the house and he's forcing entry.
The neighbor who called this in did not want to go on camera, but says he watched as the man put on gloves before breaking in. And the homeowner, who also declined a camera interview, says his screen door was cut and his back door open. Sheriff's Lieutenant Kurt Apperson says a K-9 unit helped authorities catch the suspect.
Upon taking him into custody, a search was conducted of his person. Stolen property was located on his person, as well as the flight path that he took from the house.
Franklin Wilder says thieves should think twice before breaking into their homes.
Now, everybody knows that this neighborhood is watching out. And if you come in this neighborhood, they're going to report you to the police.
And also tonight, Champaign County authorities tell us the suspect is also wanted in Rhode Island. The charge there, second-degree robbery. They say they've been working with Rhode Island authorities for about 5 months to get this guy. And it all ended earlier today. In the studio, Kim Shine, WICD News Channel 15.
Thank you, Kim. Champaign County officials say facing charges in Champaign County and extradition to Rhode Island for second-degree robbery are two possible next steps in the case.
Well, the weekend in a nutshell, we are seeing clearing conditions during the overnight tonight. Now, as we get into the day tomorrow, expect to see some sunshine. It'll be cooler. It'll also be breezy. We'll top out into the 50s, but we could see temperatures well up into the 60s on Easter Sunday as things begin to warm up a bit. Next week, we're going to see a day-to-day chance of some showers and some thunderstorms. Right now, 40 degrees with a northwest wind at around 14 miles an hour at Willard Airport. Meanwhile, at the Vermilion Regional Airport, 36 degrees the temperature there. As we look into the day tomorrow, there it is, plenty of sunshine. We'll have the rest of the Easter weekend holiday forecast for you coming up. And Angelica, now back to you.
All right, thank you, Doug. Dell's Popcorn Shop in Decatur suffered massive amounts of damage with 30 firefighters responding early this morning. Just after midnight, Decatur police and fire crews responded to an alarm at Dell's Popcorn Shop. It took several engines, roughly 4 hours to get the blaze under control. First responders say it started in a dumpster and quickly spread up the side of the building and into the second floor, leaving noticeable amounts of fire and smoke damage.
They got inside the building on the second floor. They did about $40,000 damage to the building itself, and there's about $27,000 to the contents.
Now the building's windows are covered with a small note saying they are temporarily closed due to the fire, but they will be open again once the damage is fixed.
April is Distracted Driving Awareness Month, and police in Illinois have several reminders for you before you get behind the wheel. Studies show taking your eyes off the road can increase your chances of getting into an accident threefold. That's because officers say if you're going 55 miles an hour, you can travel the length of a football field in seconds, and a lot can happen during that time.
You just have people are so busy and they're trying to multitask so many different things that they think, well, I'm in the car, it's really kind of dead time, so let me get caught up on some stuff. But in reality, driving is a task in and of itself, and it's probably one of the most dangerous things people do.
If you're caught driving while using an electronic device, Springfield police, for instance, say you will have to pay up to $75 for a first-time offense, all the way up to more than $1,000 for the fourth offense.
Both chambers of the Illinois General Assembly are considering measures that could apply ignition interlock notifications on driver's licenses. If a person is required to have an interlock testing device on their vehicle, they could also have this information on their driver's license. The Secretary of State's office says this would be valuable if a person tests positive for alcohol driving someone else's car. Champaign police are still investigating a report of shots fired. It happened early this morning in the 1000 block of Northwood Drive. Officers say they spoke to a witness who says he was walking in the area when a vehicle described as a green Chrysler 300 stopped near him. A suspect got out of the car and fired a handgun at him. Police were able to find several shell casings in the street. The victim was not injured and there is no known property damage.
Search continues for a so-called armed and dangerous inmate who escaped from jail. Now the relatives of the man who was killed during a botched robbery say they fear for their safety since the convicted killer is on the loose. Nelson Williams Sr. says he goes home every night worried the man convicted of his son's murder could ambush him. In a courthouse outburst back in February, 23-year-old Cameron Taylor shouted at the family minutes after hearing the verdict. He said that he would get them. Taylor escaped Wednesday from a Kankakee jail after beating a guard unconscious. The Kankakee County Sheriff has warned the public that Taylor has a weapon and, quote, will not hesitate to use it. House Speaker Michael Madigan wants to increase funding for state crime labs to address a backlog in processing evidence. His bill would provide an extra $6 million for forensics labs in the next budget year. Starting July 1st, Madigan says this is in response to concerns that sexual predators may have gone free because crucial evidence could not be processed. Madigan says the funding should be a priority even in a difficult budget year. Illinois faces more than a $6 billion budget shortfall next year.
Cresco Labs is poised to become the state's largest medical marijuana grower after winning 3 cultivation permits, more than any other company. But the risks are daunting for the Chicago-based company and its 4 founding partners who have backgrounds in mortgage lending and real estate. Cresco is currently a defendant in 2 lawsuits filed by unsuccessful applicants, which could delay their construction. Illinois marijuana pilot program expires at the end of 2017 unless state lawmakers extend it. And coming up after the break, Iran's new deal. Find out why some world leaders are refusing to accept it.
Plus, picking up the pieces. The investigation continues as to what led up to the Germanwings plane crash. Find out how experts are working to make sure it never happens again. You're watching WICD News Channel 15.
Two suburban Chicago men have been indicted on charges that accuse them of plotting a terrorist attack. 22-year-old Hassan Edmonds is a member of the Illinois Army National Guard, and his cousin, 29-year-old Jonas, were arrested last month. They allegedly conspired to provide material support to the Islamic State of Iraq. The indictment was filed yesterday in U.S. District Court and announced earlier today. Prosecutors say the 2 men will be arraigned April 8th. And the battle lines are forming after world leaders hashed out a framework for a nuclear deal with Iran. President Obama calls the agreement historic, but critics say the framework leaves Iran's nuclear infrastructure in place. That's a claim strongly dismissed by Energy Secretary Ernie Moniz.
What it ends is all the pathways to a bomb. There are multiple pathways: uranium pathways, plutonium pathways, covert pathways. What we have agreed to, we are very confident will let us to see any violation quickly, give us plenty of time to respond, and effectively close off those pathways. We are much better off with this deal than we would be without it.
Moniz played a central part in the negotiations in Switzerland. And plenty of fallout today over the nuclear deal with Iran, even as there is cheering in the streets. Senior political reporter Scott Thuman with why some other world leaders refuse to join it.
With celebrations in the streets of Tehran and praise at the White House, the deal would seem on its face a significant step towards safety. So is it?
On the contrary, the deal would legitimize Iran's illegal nuclear program. It would leave Iran with a vast nuclear infrastructure.
Israel's fears may not be so unfounded.
You know, we've tried these nuclear deals in the past. North Korea comes to mind. We struck this agreed framework with North Korea in 1994. We thought we'd solve the North Korean nuclear problem, and we now know that they'd been cheating on the deal from day one.
Matthew Koenig, one-time advisor on Iran policy at the Pentagon and author of A Time to Attack, says North Korea may now have enough material for 10 to 30 weapons.
Unfortunately for Israel, they don't really have any good options on their own. All of their options run through Washington. So if they want tougher sanctions on Iran, they can't do that without the White House's blessing.
Thus, a return to the trust but verify approach. Can Iran really be allowed to keep enriching with the understanding it's for energy, nothing nefarious? Their president today vowed Iranians, quote, do not seek to deceive.
Today, they have all accepted that enrichment on the Iranian soil is not a threat.
But that doesn't mean everyone in Iran is a fan of this deal. Hardliners say they conceded too much. An advisor to the Ayatollah adding, we gave up a race-ready horse and got a broken bridle in return. In other words, there could still be a lot of bartering between now and June 30th. In Washington, I'm Scott Thuman.
It's a quiet but cool night on the Sullivan Park Hill Tower Cam. One last look here. Clear skies tonight will bring us sunshine tomorrow and a warming trend through the weekend. Get the complete Easter weekend forecast. It's coming up next here on WICD News Channel 15. You're watching WICD News Channel 15. Happy weekend to you. Looking out over the Twin Cities here this evening, clear skies overhead. Things are definitely a lot quieter than they were this time, even last night when we were seeing some showers move across the area, and even earlier in the day today. But since then, we've seen things clear out. The showers have come to an end, but we're looking at some pretty chilly conditions here during the overnight. Here, look at the highs today. 59 degrees in Champaign, also in Mattoon, 56 degrees in Danville, and all the way up to 62 down in Paris. Winds continuing to come in from the northwest, and you know what that means. That means things are cooling down. Look at the 24-hour temperature difference here across east central Illinois. As much as 20-degree difference from where we were even last evening as that cold air continues to filter in. Our current temperature showing 36 degrees in Danville, already lower than 40. 38 degrees in Watseka, still holding out at 40 degrees at Willard, 41 in Mattoon, 42 degrees in Paris. Here's a look at some of the local temperatures, including 36 degrees in Fowler, Indiana. Out to the northwest, 41 degrees in Gibson City, 40 right now in Rantoul and Petersburg, Covington. And in Chrisman, 43 degrees there. Also in Tuscola, 42 over at Monticello and 44 down at Marshall. And as we look into the overnight, well, our skies will continue to clear. And it's going to be a chilly start to the day tomorrow with overnight lows down into the 20s, and then through the day tomorrow, sunshine and a little bit cooler. We'll see high temperatures at least in the 50s by the afternoon. It'll be quite breezy as well for Easter Sunday, and we could be looking at wind speeds up to 30, 35 miles an hour, so hold on to your Easter eggs. But it will be warming. We'll see highs up into the mid-60s, and then for next week, we're going to see almost a daily chance of showers and possibly even some thunderstorms. There's our cool air, but that drifts out to the east. We'll see high pressure drift in, and that'll create some sunshine as we continue through the week with clearing skies. This is showing maybe a few scattered showers late Sunday, but overall it's going to be a breezy, warm day on your Easter. It should be a pretty nice looking day. 29 degrees for the overnight tonight with clearing skies and cooler conditions. Winds out of the northwest anywhere from 10 to 15, 58 degrees tomorrow. And look at this, we're looking at some breezes here from the southwest, perhaps gusting up to around 25, but that's what's bringing the warm air up into our area. Mid-60s expected on Sunday, and now as we look into next week, we're seeing a few changes in the forecast from even how it looked at 6 o'clock, we were looking at a day-to-day chance of showers and storms, but we're seeing maybe a couple of breaks there with only 20% chances, and that's a very small chance of maybe seeing some showers on Monday and Wednesday. Better chance of showers and storms, though, on Tuesday, Thursday, and then perhaps again on Friday.
So enjoy Easter.
Enjoy Easter Sunday. Enjoy the weekend, everyone. It should be a pretty nice one.
Thank you so much, Doug. Coming up after the break, experts are gathering to pick up the final pieces of the crashed Germanwings plane. Find out what they are working on to make sure this never happens again.
Plus, Illinois football will need to be better in the trenches this year. We'll see how both the offensive and defensive lines are improving so far in sporting practice. That's coming up later in sports. You're watching WICD News Channel 15.
Arkansas's Governor Asa Hutchinson has signed an amended version of his state's religious freedom bill.
A Senate bill passed in the State House this afternoon by 76 to a 17 vote.
The governor had rejected the first bill earlier this week. He asked lawmakers to change the wording so it was similar to the federal Religious Freedom Restoration Act. Critics had said the measure would discriminate against same-sex couples, but the bill's sponsor says the law is about religious freedom and not discrimination.
I don't like the fact that we had to come back and we have to vote on this again. I don't like that. Although what I do like is maybe we'll be able to go out of here with some unity. We'll be able to go out of there with some clarity. We'll be able to go out of here not voting for what the media and everybody else outside of Arkansas thinks is a bill that is designed for discrimination.
Actually, that bill passed yesterday. A similar law in recently passed Indiana sparked national outrage. Thursday, lawmakers were sent that updated bill to Governor Pence's desk for his approval.
And when tragedies happen, there is almost always the immediate need to react. For the commercial airline industry, making changes has always been a go-to response.
Our national correspondent Christine Frizzell looks at some of those proposed changes and spoke to some in the industry about what they think.
As the wreckage is cleared away, ideas about what to do next are now piling up. More stringent mental health tests for pilots, new international standards for inside the cockpit, and also an overriding question: why not put more power in the hands of technology? A decade ago, Germanwings manufacturer Airbus was developing software to allow a plane's computer system to take over if a crash seemed imminent. That project, however, was scrapped.
In the case of the Germanwings passenger murders, this technology would, I believe, have saved the flight.
Some are now also calling for more power to be given to air traffic controllers as yet another line of defense. But that idea is one pilot and aviation expert Dan Elwell says is flawed.
The second you start designing a cockpit with the assumption that those inside aren't to be trusted in any way, now you've lost sort of the whole reason for having pilots in there to begin with.
Some pilots warn technology can also work the other way.
More and more people will come to know the technology, they'll work on the technology, and therefore there will be bad people that will be able to exploit that technology.
When it comes to drawing lessons from a tragedy, sometimes the rush to react, Elwell says, is a move in the wrong direction.
Changing the entire system, every tower, every controller agency, to have the ability to take over an aircraft, one incident doesn't warrant that.
I'm Christine Frizzell reporting.
And Illinois kicked off a Big Ten series tonight at Illinois Field. Highlights and reaction with Josh coming up next in sports. You're watching WICD News Channel 15.
Illinois baseball flat out red hot coming into this weekend series against rival Northwestern. The Illini had won 11 of their last 14, and when it comes to facing the Wildcats, even better. Illinois have won 5 in a row and 10 of their last 11 against that team up north. Tonight, hoping to kick off the two teams' weekend series with a victory. And the brand new scoreboard in action tonight at Illinois Field. Very sharp, if I do say so myself. And remember, Illinois, the road team in the series due to construction at Northwestern. They get some defense in the fourth. Tied at 1, Ryan Nagel with a cannon. Yeah, gets the runner at the plate. We stay tied. and the Easter Bunny was in attendance, and he loved it. Look at the dance moves. Wildcats brought the defense tonight, too. In the 6th, Illinois threatening, sick double play. Antonio Frechette with the flip. Grant Pelkert fires to first for the second out. Threat over. Kevin Duchesne making sure things stay even. He rings up Cody Stevens to end the 8th. He had 10 strikeouts. We stayed deadlocked at 1 until the 13th. That's when Pat McInerney came to the plate. Oppo Boppo with a little help from the wind. He clears the fence in right. Illinois up 2-1. How about some insurance? Later in the inning, David Kirian skies one to right center, and just awful defense out there from Northwestern. Looked Little League-esque. Casey Fletcher comes in to score. That would be enough. Illinois wins a marathon 3-1 to take game 1 of the weekend series.
I was trying to get on base for Fletcher and Dave, and they were hitting the ball well today, so I was trying to get on base, and I barreled it up, and the wind definitely took it. I'm not gonna lie about that. So I'm just happy we went out, happy we got out of the cold.
That's the epitome of a team win right there. Pitching staff, they did great tonight. Hitters, they did what they had to do to get a win.
We did not situational hit very well throughout the game, but found a way to win it when it counted. Our pitching was outstanding, and thought our defense was very good.
Illinois softball in action against Iowa tonight. 3-0 already in this one. In the first one, Whitney Rapoli singles to right. 2 more runs come on in. Hawkeyes are cruising against a struggling Illinois team. It's 5-0. Hawkeyes weren't done. Bases juice for Kara Meisel. Gets a hold of that one as the wall in center clears the base.